One of the questions I get asked regularly is, as a voiceover artist, Robbo, should I be recording my voiceover in mono or stereo? Well, today we're going to answer that question. G'day, I'm Robbo from Just Ask Robbo, and the answer to that question 99.9% of the time is no. And before anybody out there starts throwing cables or microphones at me, I'm talking about a single voice, one voice, a voiceover, a podcast, narration, or an audio book, that sort of thing. If you're using one voice and there's one microphone, then you only need a mono source. It's just that simple. Recording onto a stereo track doesn't magically make it wider, it doesn't make it warmer, more professional, or any of the other words that people like to throw around when they're pretending to know what they're doing. If what it can do, however, what it does do, even more to the point, is make your file bigger. Does that, doubles it basically. It makes your editing messier, and it makes your session way more confusing than it needs to be. For most voice work, mono is exactly what you mean, what you need. A clean mono voice can still sit beautifully in a stereo mix. In fact, it sits better because you want the voice to sit straight down the middle. Music can be stereo, sound effects are stereo, and the final production will always be stereo, if not bigger. So the simple rule is this: if you're recording one voice, then you record one voice on one microphone, then you record in mono, unless the studio, the engineer, the producer, the platform, or whoever you're delivering to ask for something else. Now, there occasionally are exceptions, and I will sort of fess up to that. There are exceptions, but it's way more technical than I think you would ever be asked to take care of. If I was recording a room, or if I was recording a choir or a drum kit or an acoustic guitar, then stereo might make sense. In a voiceover world, sometimes I will record my microphone in a figure eight fashion, which I might record in stereo. This microphone, the Austrian Audio OC818, has some software that comes with it called Polar Designer, which means that if I record from a different output, not from the XLR output, but from another output on the back of the microphone here that you get a special cable for, if I record using that cable in stereo and then open up the software in Pro Tools, I can change the polar pattern of the microphone to suit my taste after the fact. I don't have to get the polar pattern set right as I'm recording. And look, I've had this microphone for 2 years now. I think I've probably played with that a couple of times, but I've certainly never used it. So I know sound recording in stereo sounds fancy, but there's no need for it whatsoever. In fact, any decent audio engineer, once they get your stereo file, they're going to sort of squash it down to mono anyway, or just take one side of it and either the left or the right side and dump the other one. So save yourself the drama. If you're backing up files and stuff, save yourself some storage space and just send a mono file that the audio engineer can drag straight into the session and get to work on it. Worry about the other things. Get the voice clean, get your performance right, and don't use two lanes when one will do the job perfectly. If you need some help setting up your studio, justaskrobbo.com is the place to go. In the meantime, I'll be back next week with another Minute on Your Mic, and I'll see you then.